Hey guys, so I've been getting a ton of questions around read alouds and how to best do read alouds with your students during distance learning while we're learning remotely. Obviously, it's possible, but also it's not going to be the same. We're not in the classroom with our students, which definitely creates a large barrier, but there are ways that we can get creative. So I figured I'd show a couple of the ways that I have been getting creative and ways that I plan to get creative. So here's one book that I typically read with my fifth graders. And usually students have the book in their hands. They're not going to have the book in their hands now. We don't have access to them, right? All of our materials for most of us are trapped in our classrooms. So what I've done over the years, which is actually proving to be pretty helpful for me right now, I'm glad I did, was I've purchased a digital or the Kindle edition of books that I read with my students on Amazon. Again, it's something I luckily have already done, but it is something that is not too expensive to purchase one copy, one Kindle edition copy of a book that you'd like to do as a read aloud with your students. Now, what I'm using right now, and I've done a video on this, so if you're curious more about it, please look back into my channel, is I'm using Screencastify. It's a screen recording program. It is an extension that you can add on to Google Chrome that allows students to see what's on my computer screen. Also gives the option of them being able to see me. With that, I usually like them to see the screen and me. It just adds an extra element of that connection, being able to see me too. So with that, what's on my screen is the Kindle program for PC. Kindle has a program that can be added onto any device, and you're able to open up your digital download, your Kindle edition of your books. You have your own library. So with that, it allows students to be able to see the screen. It's not me, struggling with a book trying to show it to them. They can see it, they can hear me, they can see me. And it is definitely one creative way to allow them access to being able to see the book like they had it in their hands. Also, giving that accommodation of the read aloud that most of my students need, especially if we want to be guiding them and helping their thoughts to get to certain places with the reading. So I typically read it aloud to my students. I have a lot of students who need a line tracker to block out other text. So something I've gotten creative with is I use my little Post-it tool that I put the Post-it, and as I'm reading and recording it, I read and then I just drag it down with me as I read it aloud to the students. Sometimes I type in notes here that I want them to be thinking. It could be a question I want them thinking about as we're reading, maybe vocabulary. You can get really creative with that. So again, I'm using a Post-it tool. You can definitely look into what Post-it tools, they're usually these free little downloads that you can add onto your computer, are available for you. And you don't have to do it, but that is one way to block out text to help students if that's something that's a need of your students. So you can then just record whatever you need, however long you want the recording for the day to be. And then you can upload it right to Google Classroom, or you can share it with your students however you are sharing it. One way that I like to take it a step further, because there's that other element of, well, how do we know that they're actually getting what we're reading to them? Sure, you can make your own, doc that has questions that they type in it. One thing I like to do is I like to use this screencasting of my Amazon Kindle version of a book along with Edpuzzle. Once you use Screencastify and you say, "Oh, I'm all done with the reading," you've read whatever you want your students to be able to have for the day, you click stop sharing. And what ends up happening is then a new tab will open in Google Chrome for you, and it will process the video. It'll take a couple of minutes depending on how long it is. and an option will come up that you can share it right to YouTube, which you may be saying, why does she want me to share this to YouTube? Well, I'm going to tell you. If you share to YouTube, your video then will be accessible for us to then use in Edpuzzle. I'm not sure how many of you have used Edpuzzle before. Edpuzzle is an amazing free website that you can take any video on YouTube and add questions to it. And you can even, if there are multiple choice questions, you can have Edpuzzle do the grading for you. Pretty awesome, right? So I could look up anything, and Edpuzzle has an awesome library on here that you can just look into Edpuzzle separate from what I'm doing right now. But what I like to do is I take my screen recording of me reading, and at the end, when I click stop sharing, Screencastify gives me the option of uploading it to YouTube. Cool. I upload it to YouTube, and then when I find it and I'm able to then click view in YouTube, I take the web address of it when my video is on the screen with YouTube, and I copy and paste and I put it right here. So I'm just going to do a quick example from YouTube just to show you how this works. Obviously, if we were doing it, we'd use the actual video of the screen recording. But let's say, let's go into my library here. All right. So let's say that we wanted to use this video right here. Hey, you don't actually need to hear it. Just out there for any of my doesn't want to stop for me. Users. Let's see. Give me a quick second here. And if you've been using Google Meet, well, we can